gentlemen, welcome to Zebra Talk, the podcast where we shine a little light onto the lives and the untold stories of the people who slide on their knees and count the threes. That's right, I'm talking about the referees. Today, I'm joined by one of my favorite people in the industry. He's a hell of a person to follow for his fitness journey, for his journey through the independents, and now signed to one of the biggest names in professional wrestling, Ring of Honor, of course. I'm talking about my very good friend, Joe Mandak. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing real well, Odie. How are you doing?
I'm doing incredibly well. I'm so excited to do this. I've recorded a couple episodes, and there's a few people that you kind of are really looking forward to. Obviously everybody's a lot of fun to get to know and talk to and everything. But yeah, we've never really had a chance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't actually met in person yet, right?
No, I spoke with you one time. You called me on Facebook time. I was out, and that was actually a couple of years ago. I was out in Los Angeles, and Vegas, and you were like, "Hey, are you able to do something?" Unfortunately, I was not able to meet you. But yeah, other than that, I had just group meetings.
Right. So it's pretty cool to get to take this time to actually have a one-on-one and get to know about each other a little bit. I was interviewing somebody that I've known in person and worked with regularly for 5 years the other day, and he told me all kinds of stories about it was Scott Johnson. He was one of the game developers on the WWE series for THQ, and I'm just like, why didn't I know this? He's like, I don't know, on shows. But awesome. Anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you come from? Obviously the just start off questions. How'd you get involved in wrestling? How'd you find wrestling? Go ahead and dive in.
Sure. I'm Ref Joe Mandak out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born and raised. 30 years old. I've turned quote unquote, I guess, pro in reffing 2013. But I'd probably say I really didn't get my feet soaking wet in the business until about 2015. But kind of starting from the beginning, much like I've heard Odie's story as far as how he kind of got involved, just kind of channel surfing. My dad was really into wrestling. My grandfather, his father took him out in Colorado Springs. So he got to see, some of the old names out there, which was pretty cool on the quote unquote independent circuit back then, which was pretty awesome.
Sure.
I remember watching VHS tapes, and there was one match that sticks out in particular. It was Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in a ladder match.
That's terrible. Why would you ever watch that?
It's a really good question because I don't remember. I don't believe it was a pay-per-view. I don't believe it was a Monday Night Raw. I believe it was in Maine somewhere.
Let's have them do a ladder match. Why not?
Why not? It was for the Intercontinental title, and the match gave me a whole bunch of different emotions. So Shawn Michaels was the heel. He was with Sensational Sherry as the manager. Bret Hart obviously being the face, and something about the way Shawn Michaels sold. He made me laugh because he kind of oversold. It's almost like he was trying to compete with Bret, I can outsell you.
Yeah.
So he made me laugh. Seeing Bret almost grab the title several times, I had anxiety. Watching Sherry interfere, I got upset. It just kind of played with my emotions. And as a young kid, I kind of was able to, I guess, grasp that. So regardless, when I saw that match, it was like, all right, now I'm going to wrestle with my dad. And so he'd throw me on the couch. I'd jump off the couch. And that's kind of how I would start my bedtime routine is we jump off 3 or 4 times, and he would kind of catch me, and I'd pin him, and he would kind of roll me up, and we'd kind of do false finishes. I didn't know what those were at the time, but it was just fun. And then I would go upstairs, fall asleep, and lo and behold, like I said, it just kind of would escalate, over the years. I went to, the WWF house shows at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and remember seeing Undertaker wrestle and Goldust, Shawn Michaels, just to name a few that I recall. But I didn't really know about the independent circuit till probably about 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And I got my toes dipped in as a fan. I went to an IWC, International Wrestling Cartel. They were running out of
affiliated with now as well.
Yes, which is kind of really cool when you think about it.
Right?
It really is, because, as a fan, you're just going there to watch, wrestling. And what intrigued me about that was there was no barricade. So it was literally, we sat front row. There was about 6 feet, and then there was the ring. So I was like, well, I don't see this on TV. That's kind of cool.
Sure.
And the first match was a tag team match. It was Brandon Kay and Dirk Ziggler versus a tag team. I believe they were known as the Backseat Boys. I don't know if they're still around, but Brandon Kay took a baseball slide tackle to the outside, and he fell into me, and I fell back into my chair, and I was like,
well, I'm hooked for life.
absolutely. It was like this light bulb went off. Like, I didn't think that could happen, and it did. And so, yes, we bought season tickets to the promotion. My dad would take us, and I would just watch these guys growing up. And then when I was old enough to finally start to train, I did. I trained with a guy who I actually saw wrestle at that show, Shirley Doe. He actually trained guys like Joaquin Wilde. He had a hand in training him, Facade, Jason Gorey, and most notably Elias from WWE. So
it's a pretty great pedigree, including yourself. Like that's a lot of really like admirable people to come out of there.
Absolutely. So I got to train with him for a little bit, and then I took a couple months off because at the time I was going to school. I was playing college basketball, so I was trying to do the best I could to keep the dream alive, but also understand that I had to go to class and try to get my degree.
Of course.
And then a couple years later, I ended up picking back up with a company. They were NWA East out of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. They later became PWX, Pro Wrestling Express. And I think they've transitioned now to Fight Society. They've kind of repackaged, rebranded themselves.
Funny how often you see that happen in wrestling. Like I was trained by a group that were like some iteration of themselves under a different name, at least like 4 or 5 times from like 2000 all the way up through when I started in like 2015. They were just like, they were Action Coast, or they were Devil Mountain Wrestling, or they were, whatever.
Yeah. And so, it was just one thing led to another, and trained with them. I was getting ready to actually debut in 2011, which, thinking about that, that's 10 years ago.
Right.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your anniversary, brother.
Oh my goodness. So I technically had one match. It was April 20th, 2011. It was actually for IWC, the main event. It was a 6-man tag. So you had
no pressure for your debut or anything.
No pressure. What was kind of cool about it was the name of the program was College Fight Fest Volume 2. They had done a program, I think, at like Cal U University in Pennsylvania. So they went to Penn State, New Kensington, where I went to school, and they did a show there. So it was kind of cool. I was the mystery partner in the main event, but you had the founding father, Dennis Gregory, Jimmy Vegas, and Big League John McChesney on one side, and it was John Bolin, who I believe had a small stint with Impact Wrestling for a little bit, and then Joaquin Wilde, known as Zima Ion at the time.
Yeah.
So those are my tag team partners, and we went head to head, and we ended up picking up the victory. There was a little kind of screwy finish that went on, but it was just really cool. Super.
I almost missed it there because we're just kind of like steamrolling through it all so fast. But like, you didn't even start to become a ref. Like, you started as a wrestler.
Absolutely, yeah. My dream was to be the next Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle. All these people I grew up watching, and but what had happened was, my body type at that time, I was probably $125, soaking wet.
It sounds like you've been an athlete like most of your life, though. You said you were playing college basketball and all that. Did you do that like through high school and middle school and all that stuff as well?
Yeah, started 3rd grade, played all the way up through grade school, 9th grade through 12th grade, played high school basketball, played high school golf for 4 years, played baseball through my life. My before wanting to be a wrestler, I was going to be, the first baseman for the Houston Astros. Take after Jeff Bagwell, be number 5, have his batting stance. I mean, that was that was the mindset.
You had the life set and ready for you.
I did, and unfortunately, my ninth grade coach kind of made me fall out of love with the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped playing baseball, and maybe had a little regret there. I don't have too many regrets in life. Maybe a little regret there, but I think things have worked out pretty well. But yeah, like you said, my mindset was I want to be a wrestler. Later on, fast forward a little bit in 2011, my grandfather had passed away, and that kind of took a little bit out of me. So I kind of stopped with the wrestling, my body, everything like that. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Fast forward to 2013, and I got that itch again. You know, a couple of my buddies had gone through the training, they were debuting, so I was like, I'm gonna go watch them, and I was like, I got to get back in there. I got to do something. So I met with one of the referees, Sean Patrick, who's my referee sensei. Great guy. But I came up to him and said, would you guys be interested in or could you use another ref? They're like, we could always use referees.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, good refs are hard to come by.
Yeah, and my thought was, I mean, he had done the Jimmy Corderas refereeing 101. I think there was a DVD.
Yeah,
and so he was there learning. So he taught me about the U. He said, stay out of people's way, and there's the hard cam. So that kind of were the absolute basics that he kind of
imparted onto you.
Yeah, kind of the most important things. And so I had my first show. My first match was the PWX Television Championship. Went to a 10-minute time limit draw. So, I always kind of remember
your first finish or anything like that.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool. But what was even better was after I had done that a couple months, a couple guys came up to me and they're like, and I'm sure you've heard this. You don't suck.
You don't suck. Look around.
If you're a referee starting out,
you know what? Right now, I need to take a note of this. We need a Zebra Talk shirt that says "You don't suck."
And then just put any indie wrestler or something like that. But I guess you've made it, brother. When you hear that. And so I kind of took that as, okay. So I would start ref it. This guy would say, Joe, I'm in a tag match. I want you to ref my match. And that would kind of carry on. If he worked a different promotion, that's how I was able to get my foot in the door at other places.
Nice.
So, yeah, and it just kind of unfolded. So for about 2 years, I kind of just did it once a month for the local promotion. I honestly wasn't making anything. I was just kind of doing it to get my name out there and kind of get my reps. And then about 2000, where are we at? 14, 15, Joe Dombrowski, he does commentary. He does some stuff for Future of Honor, for Ring of Honor, and also runs a promotion out of Cleveland, Ohio, Premier Championship Wrestling. He kind of gave me the motivation, the kick in the pants that I needed. He's like, look, if you want to do this as a hobby, that's fine. But it's always
you're good enough to not do this as a hobby. So why don't you actually apply yourself a little bit?
Exactly, brother. He said if you treat it like a hobby, that's all it'll ever be.
Sure.
So treat it like a job. And he would come up to me and say, Joe, you need black socks. Joe, where's your belt? Joe, don't wear a white shirt under that, just random little things that, because he could tell that I was good and that if I did these little things, it would only take me to the next level. So I owe him, a debt of gratitude when it comes to little things like that.
It's crazy when you meet those people and have those interactions that are the things, your hands are kind of washing out your face a little bit when we,
Oh, sorry. Sorry, no.
It's okay.
I thought you were in mid-stories. I was getting really...
For those that are listening to the audio, it's going to be real interesting to try and picture what we're talking about. Look it up on YouTube. It'll be lots of fun. But no, it's what I was getting at is when you meet those people that give you those pieces of advice that have that click moment in your head, because there's so many things that you'll learn just from repetition and being in the ring and things like that. But things like you were saying, black socks, don't wear a white shirt underneath it. Make sure you're using a black belt. Like I was told when I like first went to training to just grab some black wrestling shoes, right? Which to me was like, all right, sure, whatever, right? So I go to Big
Yep.
Five and I get these shooter shoes, and come to find out, like years down the line, they had tan soles on them, and people gave me crap about them for like
Huh.
years because they thought I was like trying to be like red shoes or something. And I'm like, brother, I just grabbed the ones that were black. Like I don't care.
No one looks at the bottom. What do you know?
If somebody had told me to make sure the soles are bottom, I would have made sure the soles were black. I would have made sure. But yeah, it's great when you have those mentor moments, or even just like conversational moments where you have those like click in your head. So yeah.
Yes. So I traveled a lot with Joe. We went down to North Carolina for WrestleCade a couple different times. Not really expecting to be booked. He did commentary for Big Time Wrestling, so I was able to get on a couple of those shows, which was extremely grateful, extremely humbling, great learning experiences. And then stumbled across Ring of Honor tryout camp. I can't even tell you how I stumbled across. I don't know if I went to their website and they just happened to have it there. I wasn't on Twitter at that time. I don't know if somebody had a Facebook post, but I was like, let's see
You
what this
always
is about.
big like Ring of Honor fan? I mean, growing up in the area, I'm sure you had to at least been to some of the shows.
So I heard of it. A lot of my buddies were big fans of that at that time. Kevin Steen, El Generico. I think guys like Tyler Black and Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, all of them had left. But watching the old, I was like, wow, I remember seeing AJ Styles wrestle for IWC and in Monroeville, CM Punk, same thing. I mean, it was just super cool. So I said, I'm gonna do it. So I applied, got the confirmation, and was able to go to the camp. And one thing I'll tell you too, and this is for anybody out there, when I had said that I applied and that I was going, somebody had made a comment and said, "I heard if you're not a wrestler, it's a work and it's not worth your time and money." And me kind of being
people said
still,
the exact same thing about the Evolve tryouts, and like,
oh my, yeah, I mean, it's all in how you perceive it. If you go in with the attitude that this is a work and I'm not going to get anything from it, you're not going to
get anything from it. Yeah, absolutely. But
exactly.
like, to an extent, like, is it a work? Yes. Are they trying to make money off of you? Yes. But does that mean that it is not necessarily going to be a symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship? No. Like, just because you're paying for the opportunity to be there doesn't mean that it can't lead to things down the road, like with yourself, like with me, obviously, and plenty of people before and after us.
Yes. So like I said, I was a little discouraged by that because I didn't know. Like I said, I was still really, really green at that time. So I even messaged Dombrowski and said, "What's your thought on it?" Yeah, and he told me, he said, if you go in with that mentality, you're not going to get anything out of it. So he said, go in empty-minded, like it's day one, and you'll be fine. So that was awesome, and I loved it. I got to meet. I did actually end up doing about four of their camps, and I got to meet new refs at every single one. Chris Bankos, Jack Hill, Adam Galt, just to name a couple.
Which already is just like such a who's who of like just absolutely quality referees that are on the indies. Like Adam Galt and Chris Bankos are just like so talented.
Yes. The fact that they're not signed or on TV or anything like that. I mean, it just, give them time. I know a lot of people say in the business, there's some luck, there's a lot of timing and stuff. So their time is coming. I promise that.
I tell literally anybody who will listen any opportunity that I can get that Adam Galt is going to be in WWE or AEW or wherever at some point in his career. Like, the guy is too good to not be, signed to some contract.
Yes, and he's a good guy. I'll always root for the good guys.
Absolutely.
And fantastic. And that's another thing is, since I've gotten the opportunities with Ring of Honor, I'm always grateful. I always shoot shoot them a message afterwards. Thank you for the opportunity, because I know, I mean, just a few people I named. I'm going to include yourself in that. There's talented refs out there. I know. Sometimes we can say that.
Appreciate it.
No, absolutely. From few and far between. There's a lot of really good refs, and at any time, they could bring in somebody else, or they could say, you know what, Joe, it's not working out, we're going to bring in somebody else. So the fact that I'm continually brought back, you just have to count your blessings when it comes to that, because especially now, which I know back in the day, it was just, hey, you were making fun of the refs, Odie. Why don't you take this shirt and see if you can do better? I mean, we still see it, unfortunately, but
now the community and the climate of like the referee job is so much more developed and trained, and like, I don't want to say cutthroat, because like I think we're all a community and none of us really like try to do much backstabbing or anything like that, but like it's very competitive.
Yes. It's healthy competition, and I would actually say that you, with the installation of Zebra Talk, I think that definitely pushes a lot of people to be like, hey, I can do that, or I'm gonna, I think that healthy competitions never kill anybody, and
Absolutely.
as long as that's what it remains, like you said, there's going to be a lot of good zebras coming up through the ranks in a couple years.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that like I really appreciate the most, that I hear from people about Zebra Talk. I hear from like Knox or somebody that's been around forever, that are just like, man, I wish this was a thing when I was growing up, when I was coming up, because like it would have helped me get to where I am so much faster. And like, you see, there are people that have been around now for like that long, myself included, especially, like that have just like, I should not be reffing in some of the places that I'm reffing, like just tenure wise. I mean, I'm doing okay, but like there are a lot of people who've been around a lot longer than I have, but like networking and Zebra Talk helping, like I have all of the best information from people around the world just pouring into my ears, and the other people like yourself, like Aubrey, like Jeremy, whoever, Adam, that really know how to utilize the tool, know how to like absorb the information and use it to their benefit. And it's great to see how it's helping people just like take off to the races with it.
Yes, absolutely. So are you 8 years in?
No, I'm a baby, brother. I'm 6.5.
You're 6.5, because I'm in November of this year. Will be my 8th, so I guess I'm only in little 7. So we're kind of in that same,
which is cool, because like if you pay attention to it, like there's a crop of us that all started within around like a year of each other, that are like, obviously we have a long way to go, but like we're making some waves in professional wrestling. It's pretty cool. Like Jeremy started like maybe 4 months before I did, and he already works for New Japan. Like you're already working for ROH. I was doing okay with Evolve before they closed. Like it's pretty cool to see what people can accomplish in a short amount of time with like the right resources and the right community, and some real hard work and effort.
Yes.
And then you had kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I don't know if he was there the whole time that you were training, but you had mentioned that you had sort of a ref sensei there to like help you learn. Like you had a trainer that was like actually a referee.
Yeah, so Sean Patrick, he actually, I believe he was a wrestler back in the day, but he's 5'6". He's like, nobody wanted to see a 5'6", 135 short redhead mat wrestle, so he's like, I donned the stripes. He had the pretty good size for it, but yeah, he just taught me so much, and was just such a good guy doing it. I definitely wouldn't be where I am without him. And I think still every now and then he dons the stripes a little bit. But then, when he kind of, that was with the older promotion. And then with IWC, I get to work alongside Robert Williams, Bobby Williams. Just he's 20 years, I think, in the business. He's been overseas. He's, worked with, some of the top name independent promotions across the country. And just being able to sit under, his learning tree is extremely humbling. So, it's always cool, to be like, oh, I'm senior official, but I
There's
kind of
nothing like
prefer.
having somebody that you can actually ask the questions and like learn things from, and a mentor on hand, especially like if you come from a place where like there wasn't any referees on hand and you were just kind of like figuring out how to do it by pissing off the wrestlers.
Yeah, or having a wrestler say, "Oh, well, this guy I worked with, he would do the counts and stuff." It definitely does help. So, my recommendation is if you're at a promotion, um, and you technically are the senior official or you're the person in charge, if you have questions, that's where like Zebra Talk is absolute gold.
Yeah,
Because then
absolutely.
you can come across a certain situation. Networking, especially in this day and age where you can text, message, Zoom, and have a face-to-face conversation with somebody and go over the if, ands, and and what happens, about a match is huge.
It's
Absolutely huge.
insane. I've actually been reviewing footage with people recently for like Primetime Live and for Hollywood, some of the younger refs that we have on there. And my style when it comes to like helping people go over matches, like I'm not a trainer or anything like that, but if people ask for advice, I'll give it.
Right.
My style is I like to turn on the match and record the moment where like something needs work, and then
Mhm.
like talk over what I'm recording so that they can like hear and watch exactly what's going on as I'm seeing it. And like
Smart.
just the fact that like that's even possible these days is just astounding. It's insane. There's so many great tools that are helping us get so much better, so much faster these days. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I feel for the guys that like I want to like shove everybody in Zebra Talk into like networking with each other. And like every time, somebody's like, oh, I don't know if I should like message Knox or like, should I talk to Bryce and ask him for advice or whatever? I'm like, dude, that's what it's there for. Like they
Yeah.
wouldn't be in the group if they didn't want you talking to them.
Yeah, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, even with the experience I've had, they'll tell you, yeah, let me get through this week. Obviously with the hectic schedules, and then they'll usually get back. I know Da Brewer was one where he actually sat down and watched a couple things that I had done, from a couple other promotions. So, and he got back to me. All you can do is ask, and the worst thing they can say is no. But I
Yeah.
haven't come across that, so
Right.
that's another cool thing.
I think, we all have that camaraderie in that community, because we all came from the same kind of experience of like, we didn't really have that many people on hand to learn from directly. So we know that like, anytime we get an opportunity to learn from anybody, we're just like, give me the information, give me the
Yes.
notes, please tell me something. I'm sick of people saying, I didn't notice you were in the ring, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I would say. Going back to I didn't know you're in the ring. If you go up to guys and say, hey, thank you for the match, and they're like, oh, you were my ref. If they didn't know you were the ref, then I guess that's that. To me, I kind of like that because it's like you didn't know I was there, but at the same time, it's like you could, know that I'm there. But so I don't know. You just said that, it just kind of reminded me of because
Yeah, I mean,
I've had that happen a couple times.
I had a pretty funny one happen to me once. There was a tag team that I met on the day of the show, and we all hung out. I was in my stripes. I don't know if you know or if you notice or not. Like I wear glasses pretty regularly when I'm in like my street clothes and stuff. And so I hung out with them in my stripes for like hours, and then we went and we did the match, and I reffed their match. And then after the show was over, I put all my like normal clothes on and I put my glasses on and I go up to the guy and I'm just like, hey, good job tonight. It was really cool talking to you or whatever. And he goes, who are you? I'm like, brother, I spent all day talking to you. I'm not Clark Kent.
It's the glasses, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, it's the stripes because like they are so heavily discouraged from like actually like focusing on us at all. And they're so focused on what it is that they're doing in their match and making sure that everything goes well, that it's like blinders, whatever. Anyway, you'd mentioned Brewer, you'd mentioned Bobby, a few other names. Are there any refs now that like you really look up to, that you pick brains? Like who are the people that you're watching, that you're studying from, things like that? I'm sure you're talking to Todd a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
You don't be.
Yeah, definitely Todd. Always picking his brain, and one of the reasons is because any seminar I've gone to, doesn't matter what promotion, he's one of the top five guys, top five reps that they say. And I know a lot of people get on to him about, I mean, his weight. You know, he's a big guy, but he doesn't do much. But like,
I'm sorry. Have you heard of Tim White? Like, have you heard of John Finnegan? Like, come on. There's big refs. Like, it's a thing.
And the thing, he moves really well, and some people are like, oh, well, he doesn't move or get into it as much as you, and I'm like, that's because he's doing so much without doing anything, and that's what I try to strive to do. Sometimes I feel like I get down low and I'm kind of moving maybe a little too much, and he just kind of moves when you're supposed to move. And he's seen when you're supposed to be seen, and he does it he's got this swag about him that just kind of like nonchalant, and then he gets so
it kind of reminds me of a really good like wrestler, how there's no real like wasted motion, you know, like they take the steps that they need to take without really getting like happy feet, is what we called it a lot in theater, you know, where you kind of get uncomfortable and you're just stepping for the sake of stepping, which is something I'm super guilty of sometimes, but like I'm trying to work on it. But yeah, he's definitely very confident and very planted and owns his space.
Yes. So he's definitely one. Jay Clemens recently just got signed with WWE NXT. He's doing some stuff with 205 Live.
Yeah.
Ref with them a couple times in Pittsburgh and in Cleveland. Another young guy. He's 27 or something like that. I mean,
pretty wild, right?
I think he's got more tenure than both of us. I think he started.
He's working on his 11th year right now. Guy's been working forever.
Yeah, just another guy that. You sometimes you look at these refs and I think people try to like, oh, I'm the ref who counts really fast, or I'm the guy who does stuff with his hand, and it's like the people that I name, they they don't have anything. They're just solid. So I enjoy watching him. Jason Ayers, another guy, just really, really solid. Had the pleasure of sitting with him a couple different times, picking him up from the airport and just dining with him, obviously pre-COVID, everything 2 years ago. But yeah, just a really, really solid guy. Some of the, I don't want to say older refs, but I was a big fan of Jim Corderas and Tim White.
Same.
Two different styles. Tim White was very vocal and kind of in your face. Corderas was a little more used his facial expressions.
Yeah.
And so I try to copy and paste a little bit from this guy, a little bit here and there, and
just kind of find out whatever works for you.
Yeah. And some stuff does. I one of my things is I need to be more vocal. When Todd counts his three, you can hear him over the crowd when there's a crowd there. So I think I'm yelling, but when I watch myself back on TV, I'm like, you can't hear me count at all. What am I doing? Like.
You know what's funny that you mentioned that? Like, I'm not trying to discourage you or say that there's a right or a wrong way, but I'm obviously very vocal and loud as well. But in working with Knox one-on-one, which I was very fortunate, you know, living in California,
Sure.
I came to find out he doesn't actually count out loud.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak. He just... It's crazy. It's a little jarring when you notice it for the first time, because like you're so used to hearing the crowd that like it almost goes unnoticed, and then you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, and it works for him. I don't think it would work for me. So you have the different styles. You have people who like to slide. You have people who count from their knees. Todd drops to his side because it's what's comfortable for him. So like I'm a knee ref. So when I go down, sometimes I think that could possibly throw off a wrestler's count. So that's why I try to be as vocal as possible. But again, it's just kind of finding that niche and what works for you. Not everyone's going to be able to do the little Nate Charles Robinson slide. It's just not going to happen. I personally have a fear of like rolling my ankle on the mat if I do it or something. So I don't really try to attempt it. I go with the John Cone knee slide. He's really smooth with it.
Yeah.
And so
That's where I stole it too, brother.
yeah, hey, like I said, if you're gonna steal for somebody, you might as well steal from some of the best names in the business.
Okay, so something that I'm gonna throw your way that you might not have like encountered before, and I didn't even know was gonna be a thing. One knee sliding guy to another. When I was working at Evolve, they have like labels on their canvas, right? They have several of them around, and I think you know where I'm going with this. But like when you slide across the canvas and then you hit the label, your momentum stops.
You're pumping the brakes, aren't you?
Yeah, real hard. And like one of the first singles matches that I did, it was an incredible match. Mansoor from NXT, who was a friend of mine that I trained with in Oakland, was wrestling AR Fox. An amazing match. And like my first time working with Fox, it was my first time working with Manny in like, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. And I go for the finish and slide in, and I like trip, but like fall luckily into the first count, like at perfect timing, and nobody notices. And I'm just like, oh my God, that was almost so bad.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, depending on what kind of canvas you got, gotta make sure.
Be wary, gotta know what's coming, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. That's it's been a minute since I've
we were just talking about a great singles match. I like to ask referees, what kind of match style do you really prefer? Do you have matches that you really love to do? Do you have matches that you're not a big fan of doing? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. 8-man tags are probably maybe my Achilles heel, 6-man, something like that.
I don't know if it counts as an Achilles heel if like nobody's really great at an 8-man tag.
Yeah, touche, brother. I think just because of the bodies and trying to make sure that you're not tripping over each other.
Absolutely.
My favorite, and I pray that they continue to do this. I just did the first ever pure tag team match, and what's so great about that is the rules are written in stone. You see a lot of promotions where they'll let the blind tag go. They'll kind of be lenient maybe on the 5 count when the wrestlers are in the ring and everything.
They let the rules vary in order to fit the story that they're telling.
Sure. Completely understand. And there's definitely a time and a place for that. And that's not digging on any promotion whatsoever, because it's happened in the past, it's happening now, and by God, it's going to happen in the future.
And it happens everywhere. There's no particular place that you can dog on that for. Every place has that to some extent, and it's not even necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it just fits the energy of the room better.
Yes, completely agree. So, but with the pure rules, with the hand over the top rope and having to have the tag rope, I made a call, Wheeler U, to try tagging in Fred Yehai, but I believe he didn't have the rope, and I think he tried tagging through the second rope, and he was climbing to the top rope, and I waved it off like, no, you got to get down. So he grabbed it, and it kind of fit that story because he was unable to get the 3 count, so he might have wasted a little bit of time having to readjust for the tag.
Mention the fact that like if that is a division within the company that you're working for, and it's popular enough that people are there for that division, that's the kind of call that people are going to like just appreciate so much more. That's where like go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think it gives the referee a greater sense of control, and he's on top of things. And I don't go off on a small tangent, but I think a lot of people think that referees in pro wrestling, they got to be perfect. They got to make the call. And if you watch NFL, if you watch hockey, boxing, anything like that, I mean, how many times do you see a referee miss a call or make a bad call? It happens. So I think as long as it doesn't mess with what the wrestlers are trying to get across, I think it can actually help I'm not saying go out there and blow spots, blow fit, anything like that. But the imperfection or the enforcing of a rule that maybe might not make sense to somebody, or a judgment call.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That moment is you teaching the audience that rule exists. Like,
Yes.
obviously the majority of the people that are going to be watching that match are already well aware of the rules and all the stipulations and things like that. But I think something that we as referees lose sight of a lot, and I think the wrestlers lose sight of, is like our role, just as much as enforcing the rules, is educating the new fans on what the rules are.
Yes.
So if we just overlook stuff because it's inconvenient or it like kills the momentum or the energy or whatever, then there's, this split idea from one fan to the other of like, well, is this a rule or is that a rule or is this or that?
Yes.
And I mean, even in referees, we've seen a ton of people in Zebra Talk that are unsure about the whole, like, do rope breaks count in a triple threat match, like that kind of stuff. Like, how many times have we seen that question asked in Zebra Talk? Like,
Plenty.
I don't even know. But yeah.
And it's especially with the pure rules. I mean, if a guy throws a closed fist to the face, I mean, you got to call him on it. You get the one free shot, but after that, it's a disqualification. And there's been a couple times where Gresham's kind of rolling around with somebody and they both get into the rope. So you got to let them know, hey, that's a neutral break because not one guy had it up on the other. So
you don't lose one there.
Yes, so being able to make that call, and then commentary, Caprice and Ian doing a fantastic job. It just kind of, like you said, lets the crowd know, like, okay, both men go into there. It's a judgment call on the ref. No one's losing a rope break. Let's get back to the action. Then wrestling's a beautiful thing when it's done right, isn't it? I mean,
right. There are so many people, like, when I ask them this question, what kind of match do you not like? Or I ask people what kind of match they need to work on the most. They more often than not will mention tag team matches.
Sure.
And I feel like that is because they maybe don't necessarily like get tag team matches yet, or like maybe they haven't been in there with people who really understand like good tag team psychology. Because like what you're saying, like, wrestling is beautiful when it's done right. There is nothing like banger tag team match where all 5 of the people involved know exactly what they're doing. They understand the psychology. They're listening to each other. They have chemistry with each other. The ref is on point everywhere that they need to be. Like, I love a good singles match. That's my favorite kind of match. But boy, does a tag team match feel amazing when everybody got everything perfect.
Yes, and I think when they do like the Survivor Series matches, and you have the 5-on-5 or whatever, it can still work like a 2-on-2 tag match, but just with the bodies and getting out of control. I know sometimes you can lose track. Oh, who's legal? Who's on the outside, who's on the inside, little things like that. But there's something about a tag, and that was one thing that Todd had told me. He's like, you've probably ref hundreds, 1,000 matches, singles matches. He's like, focus on tag. He's like, if you're on a show, do the tag match, work on those, because you could do singles matches in your sleep, but if you can really focus on that. And I mean, you look at a guy like you had mentioned before, Rick Knox, what matches does he's always doing tag match.
Why?
Always.
Because he's amazing at them.
Yes. And so he has found his niche when it comes to those. So, if you're a ref out there and you're kind of wanting to better yourself as an official, if there's a tag match, do it. Don't shy away from it.
In addition to that, like, it only hurts you if you hide from the matches that you're not good at. You know what I mean? Like, I had somebody recently that was worried that their senior official was like trying to bury them because they were putting them in all the tag matches, even though they were bad at tag matches. And I'm like, no. Your senior official's trying to get you better at tag matches so that you're not bad at tag matches. They're not trying to make you look bad.
Yes.
But speaking of senior officials and things like that, obviously referees wear a ton of hats, that aren't necessarily just wearing the stripes. What kind of stuff do you do outside of the ring that doesn't involve reffing?
there to set up and tear down. Most importantly, with the independent promotion, International Wrestling Cartel. Always try to show up and load everything in, set everything up, load everything up, and then tear everything down at the end of the night. For a couple different reasons. One, I don't think you're ever done paying your dues when it comes to that. I know you might hear that term, thrown around a whole bunch of, oh, got to pay your dues, brother, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's definitely some, you got to have some respect built behind that. And I think you can tell who's serious about certain things in wrestling and even in life by how they set up.
Absolutely.
And what they're setting up. How many, I don't want to say, oh, this guy is a meathead because he's carrying 9 boards on his shoulder by himself. He's working dumb, not smarter. But if you're a referee,
it says a lot about somebody that is like a young boy or a ref or, like whoever that is there to set up.
Yeah.
And they're like off on the corner, like hanging out, watching everybody doing their thing, or they're on their phone the whole time or something, or they disappear when it's time for ring crew. Like you were saying, you can tell who's there to really be a professional and who's there to like have a career with this by the people who are like hustling.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, like you really like, I don't want to say like I enjoy ring crew. It's like hard manual labor, whatever, but like I'm not above doing ring crew, and I'm aware of how beneficial it is to have a sense of ownership with your ring,
Yes.
and like know every nuance about it and know like where the trick boards are or
Yes.
where, it bounces a little funny or like this rope rolls when you step on it. So like, you got to let the boys know, like, don't do a springboard off of that one because you're going to die.
Yes. As a ref, that's your stage. So you need to know, like you had said, hey, turnbuckle's loose, hard cam left side. So we put some tape there. So if you, like you said, you're going to do a springboard, you're going to go off the top rope, kind of watch that. Where the tables, chairs are underneath. If somebody needs something, first aid kit or something under there, if something goes wrong, you need to be able to grab that. In a time where we're disinfecting a lot of things, where the disinfectant is, where the extra towels are and everything. Little things like that will, again, it's kind of like we were talking about the black socks, black belt kind of thing.
Yeah, it's those little nuances that like you wouldn't even think that are going to be a part of your job when you go to try for the first time, but they're so important and so integral to be like fluid and professional about.
Yes. To me, it's fun. I think it's fun to see how different people tie certain knots, tie off the apron, or how they get the canvas, to stretch, or
Sure.
My favorite is the turnbuckles. All right, let's do 12, 10, and 8. So then they do that. And 12, 10, and 8. And they're like, oh, the middle one's loose. All right, so let's do another 10, 8, 6. And they try to keep it even. And at the end of the day, it's just like, as long as you're all doing it at the same time, just spin them till they get tight. It'll be all right. And I don't think there's necessarily a perfect science behind it.
It's impossible for there to be a perfect science behind it, other than just like trial and error, specifically because every single ring that you're ever going to work on is going to be different from the others, even the ones that are similar, there's something different or something off about them, or like, this turnbuckle needs a little bit more oil, but they don't have it on hand or something like that. It's like, so many nuances. In addition to ring crew stuff, I don't know if you've done this outside of our experience with it, but you were actually one of the leaders that we had for our workout program in Zebra Talk, the Zebra Sweat program that we were doing for a while. Have you ever done anything like that outside of our experience? Have you ever thought about, like being a fitness instructor, like training referees or anything like that? What was your experience with Zebra Sweat like? Tell me about those kind of things.
Yeah, so the Zebra Set was, first of all, I was humbled to be a part of it because it was a great crew to be a part with Becky and Jared. Was just fantastic. There was probably about a month where a couple years ago where I was like, you know what, maybe I should go back to school and maybe try to be a personal trainer, maybe try to do something like that.
If anybody was going to do it, it would probably be you.
Yeah, well, like how we were talking, that I was buck 25 when I started. Right now I'm 160. I've gotten up to about 167 is the most I've ever weighed, but I've trained harder in the past 5 years than I did for basketball in college, basketball in high school and stuff. So if you're looking to get in shape, start now. Don't worry about tomorrow. If you wait till tomorrow, tomorrow's never going to come. So
right.
Jump on that. But yeah, never really thought about doing that. A couple people have asked me like, hey, I want to get into training or I want to become a ref. How would I do it? And I tell them the same thing. I said, you need to go to a school, a good accredited school. Don't just go to a show and expect to be handed a shirt just because you can count. Pay your dues, learn how to bump, learn how to wrestle.
Do everything the right way. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not saying every ref should learn how to wrestle, but I think that's one thing that I had maybe over some other people who just, wanted to be a ref is because I went through the whole training, I know what a wrestler maybe should be thinking or how they might structure a match or how a match might go. And so that has helped me to, evade them, not be in the way as much. Positioning, camera angles, different things like that. Definitely gave me an edge. And obviously, the biggest thing, it's going to give you respect for the fact that when you watch somebody take a back body drop, that's
what it feels like. Yeah,
yes, absolutely. But yeah, as far as training or doing anything like that, I honestly haven't. Part of that, and I'm not wanting to make excuses. Since 2015, I've been working 3 jobs.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah. So I work a 9 to 5, ref on the weekends, sometimes during the week, and then I also coach golf seasonally. And if you've coached or done anything like that, you know that it's not always seasonally. I mean, I'm recruiting and going down to simulators to help people out on off seasons, especially in Pittsburgh where the weather, you never know what day it's going to be. So sometimes you have to be indoors, sometimes you can be outdoors. So I have a pretty busy schedule, but yeah, it's I don't know. But yeah, I never really thought about or got into that. I think if the opportunity maybe presented itself and I had the time, I would absolutely love to go maybe help out, IWC and their academy. I mean, they have fantastic trainers, already, but I think it would just be fun to be able to go there once a week, a couple times a month.
Work with some people or something. Absolutely. You mentioned, you have a crazy busy schedule. Have you been able to, obviously you've gotten tons of miles, in your area. Have you really traveled outside of the East Coast very much? I mean, it seems like you kind of been really focused on the New England indies, and then the Ring of Honor track has just kind of taken you over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. With mostly it's been Pittsburgh and Cleveland is kind of like my niche area. Was fortunate enough a couple years ago to be in Las Vegas for the anniversary show for Ring of Honor. It was absolutely fantastic. We were scheduled a year ago to be there before COVID shut everything down. So I had the opportunity to do that. But yeah, mostly, like you said, East Coast, Baltimore, Philly, Buffalo.
What do you think is the furthest that you've traveled for a show? Or Vegas, I guess would be it, right?
I guess it'd be Vegas. I was able to do Atlanta as well, so I did the show in Florida, so I don't know. I think it's longer that way than it is that way. But I was able to even do Toronto, the old Maple Leafs Garden, which was pretty cool.
That's fantastic. I mean, I've been able to get up to Canada for I was doing extra work with some people, but I haven't actually had a chance to referee up there, and that's such a huge goal for myself. Mexico and Canada are such huge wrestling countries that it just seems you have to you got to cross it off your list before you're done.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to go overseas and do. I know Ring of Honor had done the UK tour, in years past. That would be really cool to fly across the pond and do something over there.
Absolutely.
Germany, little things like that. But
You know,
I don't know.
speaking of things that, are like on your list and stuff like that, like you've been smashing goals. You just officially full time were hired to Ring of Honor just within the last couple of weeks, which like congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment. What kind of goals do you still have left for yourself?
Um, I mean, I want to be able to do this for a living. Now, yeah, I'm full time with Ring of Honor. Absolutely, extremely grateful. They've taken care of everyone, including myself, during this time with COVID and the testing and making sure everyone still gets paid. It's been absolutely phenomenal. But it'd be nice if my wife would be able to kind of quit her job or
Yeah,
maybe find something else because we're both or she's been so strong. She's only had a couple jobs over the past couple of years, but she's endured through them. Definitely not. She's an art major. Photography was her strong point, but she's working doing background checks for the government, not really her forte. So it would
yeah,
be
right.
nice. It'd be nice for her to be able to just freelance, do what she wants to do, and be able to have that time and energy. And so that's kind of my my end all be all. That is
I think
what.
it says a lot about the like quality of human being that you are, that like, the first thing that like is on your list of goals is like, I want to make enough money that my wife can chase her dreams, like I'm living my dreams right now, and I want her to be able to do that as well. Like it's very commendable.
Yeah, no, yeah, just got to pay it forward. Like I said, I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have these opportunities. So it'd be nice to have somebody else do that. Obviously, wife, happy wife, happy life. So if I can make this
Absolutely.
possible, I want to do that. As far as I don't matches or anything like that, I've been fortunate enough to do literally every title with the exception of the ROH heavyweight title. I've been able to do a pure title match. I did 6-man title match, tag team, television. I mean, just all in a short while. So that's been absolutely humbling. And I know if and when I'm ready, Todd will give me the nod, and I'll be able to finally check that off my list. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think so. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to say I'm a weird dude in that. Oh, I don't care about working with these guys, or I mean, I'm doing what I love, so it doesn't matter who I'm in the ring with. It doesn't matter what
I
kind of
mean, once you get to a point where like you've been around for a while, like you almost like lose track of who you have and haven't worked with, because like these folks, like we still look up to them and we still enjoy their wrestling and everything, but like they're our peers and our friends, not so much, like these like legendary wrestling icons that were like just hungry to even like be around anymore. More so now it's like I want to make something good with you. You know what I mean? I want to work together with you and be a peer. So like I get that.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I want to say that's as far as goals go and bucket list items. I mean,
The ROH world title is, a pretty good goal to have.
yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, it's that's the other thing. When I saw my picture on the website, just kind of going back, I was like, man, I went to this website to like buy tickets so that me and my friends could go to a show and sit front row and boo people, and we made signs and just the alumni from that page, I mean, who have gone on to bigger and better things, or who have come back and have made Ring of Honor, hoisted. It's just, man, is it humble? It's
Yeah,
so cool, so
absolutely.
cool. I challenge if you're a ref, try find that feeling. When you finally do something, or you look back, or man, I did that. Just it's so cool. It's very rewarding, and if you're in the business for the right reasons, obviously, yeah, money is important. You need it to survive and everything, but that
Not about money though, like
no,
don't
no,
let
that
yourself
just
be held back by money or anything like
no.
that. I think is the point that you're getting at.
Yeah, it's just archive it. I kind of use this analogy, like when you go to a concert nowadays, everyone has their phone up because they want to record, a song, their favorite song. And
Sure.
I'm not against that, but when I'm at a show, man, I'm in that moment,
Yeah.
and I got a cabinet full in the back of my head of just memories that I don't have on my phone. Would it be cool to go back? Yeah, but man, they're all upstairs.
It's pretty cool. I can go back anytime I want to, though. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah. And if I end up losing, my memory over the years, whatever happens, I mean,
it's okay.
Is what
it's on ROH.com.
yeah. Just go to ROH.com.
That website, brother.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's just like I said, find that moment that
that speaks to you and like moves you.
Absolutely, man.
Well, we're kind of winding down our time here. I really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the podcast. It's definitely one of the interviews I was looking forward to the most. Like we haven't really had a chance to, have a one-on-one like this yet. So it was really cool to be able to speak to you. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes left in our time. I would like to offer you, however much time you need, plug whatever social medias you got, any kind of merch, if there's shows that you want people to check out, wrestlers that you think they should be checking out, like whatever you want, take the time and get it all over.
Oh man. Well, I don't have any merch and I probably never will. I'm kind of just old school about that. If you want to follow me on social media, Ref Joe Mandak, Twitter handle. Believe it's Ref Joe Mandak for Instagram. Instagram, I mostly post food, workouts, and pictures of my dog. So if you need some happiness, I'm still getting used to Twitter. I try to keep everything as positive as possible. So if you're having a rough day, if I can make you smile, I mean, that's why I post things. I don't try to post things for my pleasure. I don't get anybody. Sure. So it's all for other people. As far as
real quick, do you mind spelling your last name for folks that might be listening to this?
Absolutely. So it's going to be M as in Mary, A N as in Nancy, D as in dog, A-K, Mandak.
There you go.
Which is actually kind of funny because when I first started reffing, I wanted to have a character. So I was going to be Joe King, and Dombrowski was like, "Don't do that. That's stupid." So I was like, "Okay."
Joe was like, "What are you joking?"
Yeah, it's exactly right, brother. So I was like, "Okay, let's drop that." So I'm going to go with Joe McCoy. Kind of a Irish gig thing. Cool. And then Ian Riccoboni was on commentary, and mayhem was breaking loose. And I was actually at home watching this, and he was like, "Oh, we need referees, Paul Turner, Joe Mandak. We need you out here." And I was like, "Hey, that's me." It's not, but it's me. So I was like, you know what? If I'm Joe Mandak to Ian Riccoboni, I'm Joe Mandak from that day on. So
absolutely,
I just kind of keep it real. But as far as talent goes, I had mentioned a couple other refs, obviously yourself included. I'm just waiting for the day when I see a tweet that you're signed, brother. Really looking forward. I know it's going to happen. I know you. Come on. Chris Bankos is another guy. Adam Galt, just a few people. They're going to be doing some good things. As far as wrestlers go, I got to give a shout out to my boys, Duke Davis and Gannon Jones Jr., the main event. They have a pretty big match coming up, I think, on a card with a bunch of guys actually from ROH. So I think that they can make a splash there. They might be joining me in the bubble sometime soon. That would be fantastic.
Very cool.
Lee Moriarty.
Oh my gosh, man!
I mean,
Moriarty. What a year for him, dude.
In a year when wrestling we thought was going to hell, right. He made the absolute most of it. Genuinely good dude. And again, that's like I said, that not only are they great performers, but they're genuinely just good human beings. And I will always root for those guys. I know that there's a plethora. I could literally go down the list. But you can check out IWCWrestling.com, International Wrestling Cartel. You'll probably see a lot of names that you recognize there, both who have made it WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor. They got a plethora of names there. Really, really good promotion there. Justin Plummer does a heck of a job with them. But like I said, I can continue to go on, but I think I'll leave it at that. I can't believe it's already been an hour, Odie. This has been
right. It like zip by.
It really has, and I hope to definitely do something like this again. Even if we do a triple threat and there's another ref there, and
Whoa.
Revolution. Can we do that? Or
I mean, it's Zoom. We can do whatever we want, right?
that would be super cool. But the fact that you had me on, brother, is just absolutely humbling. And I hope somebody somewhere out there, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, across the pond, I hope you got something out of it. And if you ever need anything, you want me to watch matches, anything, find me. I promise you, despite a busy schedule, I will make time, and I will promise to give you any and all kind of.
This guy has 3 jobs, has a wife, works for ROH, and he still finds the time to text me just out of the blue every once in a while and just be, hey, how you doing? What?
Mental health, especially now, brother. We all, I think we all need just to check in every now and then. So that's one thing I want to do for 2021. Once a month, I will shoot you a message. Make sure you're good physically, mentally, and if you ever need anything, brother, please feel free to reach out to me. I genuinely
Again,
mean
that just shows the quality of a human being that you are, man. I really appreciate you being a part of this. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for all the help that you've offered me and to the group over the years. I can't wait till the day that, we finally get to work on a show together, that we actually get to meet in person. It'll be a wonderful experience. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Zebra Talk podcast, watching the Zebra Talk podcast. If you would like to help support the Zebra Talk Fund, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Zebra Talk. We do have merch. It's not my merch, it's Zebra Talk merch. I'm old school too. We've got t-shirts, we've got sweaters, we've got hats, pins, tracksuits, all kinds of cool stuff. We have COVID masks. Like, get out of here. It all goes directly into the Zebra Talk Fund. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, all of that at Zebra Talk 123. If you would like to be on the show, or if you would like to, apply to the Zebra Talk Fund, send an email to zebratalk123@gmail.com. And join us next time. Thank you so much for being here, Joe. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Stay safe, brother.